It is Red Friday. We've got our red on, and I am thrilled, overjoyed even, to have Louise Thaxton with us today. Louise is the director of Fairway's, one of Fairway's nonprofit entities, the American Warrior Initiative. She's a regional manager for Fairway, but more importantly, I call her friend. She is a leader, a mentor, somebody who inspires and encourages. And frankly, she's part of the reason why this is going on, because she put a challenge out there from wimp to warrior in 52 days. And I said, I cannot keep putting this podcast on the shelf. So I'm so grateful to have you with us today, Louise. Thanks for being here.
So honored. And I love that you actually, and I just want to clarify that I was never calling you a wimp. I never said, you're a wimp. But for anybody who's ever wimped out on something that they knew called to do, you know what? This podcast, I know it's helping a lot of people. You've done several more before me, and you'll do hundreds after me. So, this is a calling. And there are so many people out there that there's a draw, there's a desire in their heart, and they just keep wimping out. And that's what the 52 days from Wimp to Warrior is all about. You're called to do something. So let's go from Wimp to Warrior in 52 days.
Yeah.
And you did it.
Well,
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It's not without the help of a whole lot of people. So I'm grateful to be here. I know if there is a woman on a mission, we'll look it up in the dictionary, and woman on a mission, there's a picture of Louise Thaxton there. So talk to us a little bit about your current mission, or one of them, maybe.
It's funny, as we're recording this, we're in the middle of, I guess maybe we can see a slight end in the COVID-19. And when it first happened, all of the American Warrior Initiative events were shut down. My mission for many years has been to make a significant difference in the lives of the people we serve. So one morning, and I was feeling a bit down, and I hate to even admit that on recording, but I felt a bit down because I thought, we're not going to travel. We're not going to be going. We're not going to be doing the events. And I was laying there, and I thought, what is your mission? I thought this to myself, and it was to make a significant difference in the lives of the people we serve. I thought the mission has not changed. No. How we carry out the mission must change. And so immediately I got up. My AWI team probably thought, what got into her? I said, get on a phone call, get on a Zoom. I said, here's what we're going to do. And we immediately reached out to 200 veterans that we had served before. I had several of the AWI team. We started giving them food cards, awesome. Dog food, gift cards for those who had service dogs. There's two people on my AWI team that are the veteran liaisons, and it took them several weeks because when they called, they weren't just having small conversations.
Right, deep.
Like, hey, this is AWI, how are you doing? And then we got busy on doing the mask, and we were going to do masks for first responders. And it's like, the AWI team said, what lit her fire? And it was just remembering my mission had not changed, to make a difference in the lives of the people I serve, and whether that's my team, my family, my children, my grandchildren, veterans, it's to make a difference. In whatever way I can.
That's fantastic. And I love that reminder that the mission doesn't change. Obstacles happen, right? Things get in our way, but what we choose to do when we're faced with them makes all the difference.
Exactly.
This podcast is about being in search of excellence, right? And excellence can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. How would you define excellence, Louise?
So, so I cheated a bit because I knew that was going to be one of the questions you asked. And so I looked up the definition of excellence.
Right.
And according to some very smart people, the quality of being outstanding or extremely good. And I thought, I don't know if that's excellence the way I define it. to me, it's about doing whatever you're called to do with all your heart. Give you an example, because I was thinking about examples of excellence. It doesn't mean perfection. I believe excellence is a journey. You know, we're human beings. So a lot of people think, well, I've got to do it with excellence. Well, do it with all your heart and with everything that's in you and with all the resources you have. And I am the world's best at this: ready, fire, aim. So I do that. But I'm doing it with all my heart. So I'll give you an example. I'm in rural America, and a lot of times a lot of the rural churches get together, and we have what we call fifth Sunday sing-ins. And so the Baptist and the Nazarene and the Methodist and the Pentecostals, and we all join together, and we have these, everybody brings specials. And
fantastic.
Yeah. I've never heard of that, and I don't know what that is. But anyway, all of the different denominations get together, and that we just have a singing where people bring, and there's a young lady. She's 40, and she's in our community, and she's Down syndrome. And every time we have a fifth Sunday singing, she brings a special. She knows the words to the songs, and she sings it with excellence. And you know what? It doesn't matter if it's on exactly the right key.
Right.
That girl's heart is all in, and I call that excellence because she's doing it with all her heart.
Amen. I absolutely love that definition. I think what I picked up on that you said that really resonated with me was it's a journey, right? But if you're giving it everything you got here in your heart, then you can't do more, right? So.
Well, let's just take you, Carrie. I mean, you have, you were called to do a podcast, right? If you had waited to do that first podcast until you had practiced and had it all perfect, and I'm not saying it wasn't perfect, maybe it was.
No, it wasn't.
You start, right? You start, and then you're led along the way, always pressing toward doing a better job.
I love it. So
improvement every day.
Yeah. On that journey that you talk about and your mission, like we talk about, and I know you talk a lot about military procedures in talks you do throughout the nation, and knowing benchmarks, that measuring is a really important part of knowing where we are. How do you measure where you're at personally with your mission?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that, Carrie. I read that and I'm thinking, how do I measure it? And I have to say, and then I would just use a spiritual, is I feel led by the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And I know when I'm not measuring up, and I know when I'm not doing all that I should be doing. And I'll give as an example, I have wimped out on writing the book, From Wimp to Warrior in 52 Days. I've wimped out several times. Now I'm farther along. I'm not where I used to be, but I'm not where I need to be. Right. So I have wimped out, and what I call the Holy Spirit, the divine, the spirit that is speaking to me, that says, you need to move, take it up a notch. You need to do more. You need to go. And I feel that. I know that. There's times I know I press my team too hard to where they're doing as they can, and yet I'm pressing them to where I have to slack off a little bit. I can't, it can't always be perfect. And we're in the mortgage industry, Carrie.
Right.
And so I want it to be perfect, but sometimes, did I just say it's the mortgage industry? So sometimes it's not perfect, and I have to accept it's a little less than perfect, the system that I want. So in my personal life, I feel led by the Holy Spirit. In my business life, I set measures of, this is how I want a loan to close, and this is these are the parameters. I want the money there the day before. If we're just talking business, if I'm going to fund a loan, that's business we do. We originate mortgage loans, and we want the money there. So on the day of closing, that everything happens. If it's AWI, if it's the American Warrior Initiative, I measure excellence as events is that we want the AV to work. We want the veteran to show up. We want all of the AWI team to be timely and get there. So different levels and different parts of my life
have different measurements, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Are there things in your day, in your weeks, in your months, whatever that might be, that are absolutely non-negotiable to you. You're like, this is a discipline that I do not stray from.
Yes. So in the morning, I have that time, that alone time, where I read through the 1-year Bible, but then I also am in the middle of some type of book. So I'm going to read. I do it at night and I do it in the morning. So that is my time to read. I'm a voracious reader, but I don't read I don't lounge around during the day to read.
Right.
So at night, in the morning, those are my times. I actually switched to a Kindle several years ago.
Okay.
And even though people say, well, I love a book in my hand, and I say, well, I read at night, and Kindles are just easier. And I travel a lot. And I literally, before Kindle, I would have 4 books in a briefcase, taking them on a flight.
I hear you.
I'm always reading 3 or 4 books because there's different genres that I'm reading. So, reading every day, the 1-year Bible, and then prayer. So those are the 2 things that really I'm going to do no matter where I am.
Yeah, and bookends, both. I heard you say both morning and night. Like you start and right.
I cannot. It's so weird. I usually cannot go to sleep unless I've read some. I have the Kindle by my nightstand, so when I wake up in the morning, I should have said one of my rituals is to drink a pot of coffee before I get out of bed. That is true. But drinking my coffee and reading my Kindle and reading my Bible and my devotional and doing that, and then at night, it's just one of those rituals. It winds me down, and I read a little bit. Unless it's a great book, then I'll read till 1:00.
And that's that. And that is that. Well, speaking of books or things that really resonate with you, do you have like a favorite quote or a mantra or just a go-to message for yourself that helps guide you on a daily basis?
Well, I love the scripture from Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, and I love 7 through 9, but Joshua 1:9 says, and I have this printed out, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Whenever I'm signing, I'm usually going to sign Joshua 1:9. Now, I will say this, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, that book I've read. You and I were at a Stephen Pressfield, so you saw my book, Stephen Pressfield, and so it is. And in that book, what I think about so many times is he talks about resistance with a capital R, and he gives the labels of resistance. That's resistance comes to us, and he said, if you believe in God, then you have to believe that resistance is evil. So when we're wanting to do something that we're called to do, or we're called to be, or it's not just called to do, it's called to be, then there is this resistance that comes against us in the form of fear, procrastination, chaos, family and friends that say you can't do it. So I lean on the premise of that book when I get up and I don't want to write, or there's something I don't want to do. I don't want to get on that spin cycle. And I think this is resistance, and resistance is evil. Resistance is very, very sneaky. And resistance never tells you're never going to do that.
Right.
Resistance is never that bold. It doesn't say you're never going to write the book or you're never going to exercise it. It'll say just do it tomorrow.
Yeah, just not today. Just don't do it. You don't need to do this right now.
Very sneaky, and it seeks it in. So I probably think about that, Carrie, so much through the day, is that I'm battling against resistance in some form or another, and chaos, and emails can be a form of resistance. It's like I can be sucked in by 200 emails instead of doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm sucked into that. So resistance comes in different forms, but I think about that on a daily basis. And you said I use a lot of military analogies. I believe we're in a battle. If we want to become the person that we're called to become, it's going to be a fight. And we're going to have to battle through that. We're going to fight through that resistance and fight through the fear and fight through the discouragement and fight through the shame and the self-doubt.
Right.
And just do it.
Just do it, right? Well, whatever. I loved while you were going through that, it just occurred to me in coaching how everybody's fighting their own battle, and the battles look different, right? They look different for everybody, but resistance is most certainly a part of that for everyone. It just shows up in different ways. So figuring out what that is for you that gets in your way. I love how you said it's not bold. It's not like it yells at you. It's not like it says, "Hi, you're never going to do this."
Very sneaky.
Super sneaky. So I know that your book and your message that I have been honored to be receiving now for Well, I've been listening to messages from you for a very long time, well over a decade, but the Wimp to Warrior message, at least I'm thinking it's been a couple of years now that you've been talking about Wimp to Warrior in 52 days. And I know that's all about mindset. So talk to the listeners a little bit about if you had a mindset message for them that you really felt like they needed to hear, what would that be?
You've got to think like a warrior. You must have a warrior mindset. Now, there are several, I call it, the 7 steps to a warrior mindset, but you've got to have that warrior mindset. You've got to build it. And anyone can. Most people would say immediately, well, I'm not a warrior. Yes, you are. It's in your DNA. When I say from wimp to warrior, a lot of people think, well, that'd be fine, except I can never be a warrior. No, you may not be a warrior yet. You may not think like a warrior yet, but you are. You just haven't drawn it out of you. So just a few, I'll just hit the highlights of it is you got to think with purpose. And that's your why, that's your mission. You've got to have a purpose because that's going to bring out the second part, which is the passion, the gung-ho, because you can't be excited about something if you don't have your why identified, if you don't have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish and how you want it to look, then you cannot get passionate about it. So having a purpose and passion, and then believing it's possible. Possibility thinking is huge. Because as Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And if you go back to all of the great motivational books that you've ever read, these self-help books, that back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, there were a lot of people that thought, oh, that's just airy-fairy stuff. And now they've come to see that it's actually a science. And as you start to think a certain way, you start to think with purpose, you start to figure out what is my passion. And it is possible that this is literally rewiring your brain from wimping out, I can't do it, to, well, you know what? I bet I can. Here's the thing. If anybody has ever done it, you can. If anybody's never done it, you can. I mean,
right.
it's the possibility thinking. Think about the Wright brothers that they were going to build a flying machine. Right. Can you imagine? And they pictured it in their minds, and everybody's thinking these guys are Looney Tunes. Right. And they really believed the flying machine would change the world, and they used their own money, used their own time, they risked their own lives because they believed in their mission to build a flying machine. And that's whatever your mission is, you've got to think about, so your mission, your purpose, your why, that's all one. And then you're fired up about it. You're excited about it. And then number 3 is that you believe it's possible. And all of that works. But if you're just going about it haphazard, the 4th thing is having a plan. I mean, you've got to have, and Carrie, you're a big planner girl. I know you would have it, color coded, outlined, and we would, that's what I love about you, Carrie, is that you could keep me straight. But having a plan, even if it's a 1-page business plan, a 1-page business plan is better than nothing. That just identifies, here's the 3 things I need to accomplish in the next 52 days. Here's 3 action items that I need to get done. And then these are the disciplines that I need to implement to make this happen. And the fifth thing is setting priorities. Now, if you talked about your podcast, Carrie, there came a point to where you just had to say, you know what, I'm going to do the podcast. It's a priority. I'm going to get it set up. I'm going to read the directions. I'm going to get some help. Whatever you did, it became a priority for you. Then on this podcast, you had to reach out to speakers and you had to take time out of what is let's just say your real job. Carrie.
Right.
Like you have a job, right? You have like other jobs, but then you set it as a priority. So when you have purpose, passion, you believe it's possible, you have a plan, you have to set priorities. And the sixth thing is being a promise keeper. So I'm on this goal, I'm on this 52-day journey myself of writing so many words a day. And I made a promise to myself that I would write so many words a day. And I have a few people around me that are like keeping me, keeping my feet to the fire on that. Been one of those people in the past, Carrie. And for me, it's not about finishing the book. It's about writing each day. So sometimes it may not be, let's just say someone wants to lose 20 pounds because they feel like they need to get their blood pressure down, or, they know
whatever.
Their health.
Right.
You may not be running 5 miles, but are you running 2? You may not be exercising an hour, but are you exercising 15? You make a promise to yourself that you will make progress every day. Here's a key thing. Forgive yourself for the promises that you've broken to yourself, because we've all broken promises. I mean, every January 1st, there are millions of people who promise themselves
everywhere, right?
And then by January the 3rd, they've broken the promise. But do you know what? That really impacts how we feel about ourselves, because whether anybody else cares, knows, or gives a flip, we know.
Yeah.
And so forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. Let it go. Just let it go.
And we will not start singing now.
But you could.
We could.
You could be like, we could be like Frozen, and we could be like the sisters. But anyway, let it go. Become a promise keeper. Make a promise to yourself, a promise to your family, a promise to whomever that I will get it done. And then the seventh thing is perseverance, because you know what? You do all those things, and then number 7 is that you do it today, and then you do it tomorrow, and then you do it next week, and you do it next month, and you just do it, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it, and you do it. And 52 days is about the amount of time to create a new habit. Now, if there's different people that'll give you different. Some people say 21 days. 21
all
days.
sorts of.
Yes, most people understand that it takes more than 21 days. If you go to, and your son basic training, you've had a lot of people in your family in the military, Carrie, it takes more than 21 days to build a soldier. So that time in basic training, in boot camp, literally those young people, their minds are being changed.
Yes, they are.
New pathways are being cut. I've asked it to hundreds of veterans. Did you think differently when you came out of basic training than you did when you went into basic training? And the resounding answer is, heck yeah.
Of course, right.
What the W.I.S.E to Warrior is, it is a periodization. It is a time period of 52 days where you say every day, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 49 day, 50 day, I am going to do this action. I'm working toward this goal. This is what I'm going to do. And that's how I'm going to go from W.I.S.E to Warrior. It could be something as small as losing 10 pounds, not that that's small. Or it could be, doubling my business or tripling my business. I actually doubled my business in September of 2005. Hurricane hit Louisiana. My husband's business was destroyed. We lost our farming income, and I had to do something. I went to a little military town, couldn't spell VA, knew nothing about military culture, but I had to do it. And within 52 days, I had doubled the number of units.
Which is an amazing story that I have the pleasure of knowing. And I think about that, and I think about 15 years, right? There's a journey between 2005 and 2020,
yes.
And a whole lot has changed. So You touched a little bit on it there, but talk to us about that why that was sparked then. I mean, you say you've got to be connected to your purpose and your passion. In 2005, that hurricane and
it was my family.
Right.
My family. It was my family. And that's what I've always said, Carrie. When I first started serving veterans, it wasn't to serve veterans per se because I loved them, active duty military, because I had never served them before. It was about helping my family. And so every day when I got up, I had one thought in mind. I have to go out there and I've got to sell, because that's what we do. We sell. I had to brand myself as someone who was a VA expert. I had to learn VA. A whole lot of steps. If you're going to become a VA expert, then you got to set time during the day to actually study the program,
right?
And to study. And I was mentored by some great real estate agents who love the military, and they taught me a lot about the culture. And I asked a lot of questions. So it was not an easy time. I worked 12 and 14 hours a day, but I was driven by that. In fact, Carrie, I kept a journal. Now, I didn't mention journaling, but that to me, that's key, because it actually connects your thoughts to paper. It makes them real. So we can just think all these things,
absolutely,
but it's not real. So I wrote down everything. And at the end of a year, it actually quadrupled my business. So I quadrupled my business in 2 52-day periods. And everybody's saying, how'd you do it? And I go, I don't know. Let me go back and read my notes, because I had kept
because I took them. I know. I can go back and look.
So I went back and said, well, it was those 7 steps. That was it. I was fueled by the passion to help my family. That everything, we couldn't lose the farm. I just thought, and I had to believe it was possible. Now I was in a little town of 2,900 people, and I was going into a town of 8,000 people. So we're not talking about big cities here, but literally took units from 5 and 6 to I took it to 12, and then I took it to 30. So I literally took closing 30 units a month,
which is fantastic.
And I did that because I had to get market share. I had to garner market share. I couldn't just do what was my part. I had to go out there and get market share that was others, because I was on a mission.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to be branded as someone who was a military VA expert. That took a lot of studying behind the scenes too.
So you did that inside, how many months was that? Quadrupled your business?
I doubled my business in 52 days, and then I doubled it again in 52 more. So in 4 months.
So I want to make sure that the listeners hear that. So in 4 months, you virtually changed all of what you were doing from a business perspective, right?
Exactly.
That was 2005, and now it's 2020. Talk to us about how that why has evolved over time.
Well, so what happened is the longer I served active duty military, the more I saw the challenges of coming home from war. I listened to their stories. And then I think from the very beginning, I always contributed to some type of nonprofit, because I thought, you know what, if I'm going to serve veterans, then I should do something to give back. It was the Fisher House at one time, and I would give so much to the Fisher House. And then I became involved with the boot campaign, because I thought, you know what, I'll get my boots on. I wanted to give back. There was just this, I was obsessed with it. I guess I still am, Carrie.
I think you still are. I know I am. I think obsessed is a good word for it.
I am obsessed with helping veterans, but also with sharing the message is of, don't you get it? Don't you understand? Don't you get it? We are so blessed in this country, no matter what industry you're in. We have so much opportunity, but
Amen.
We have opportunity because we live in a free country, and that free country comes to us courtesy of the United States military.
Amen.
Without them, none of it's possible. So I am a little bit obsessed about it. So my mission changed to the nonprofit that we started, the American Warrior Initiative, because I wanted something that, and the CEO of Fairway, we were blessed that he blessed it and said, go build it and we'll fund it. And he underwrites it. So any money that comes into AWI goes out to help veterans. And you know what? So during this shutdown, in that brief little pity party that I had, oh my God, I can't travel. We can't have events. And I thought, you can still give back. Do you know what? We've done 3 service dogs.
Which is fantastic.
Now, one veteran keeps texting us and sending us pictures of him and his dog. We haven't met him. We haven't met the dog, but it doesn't matter. He's got the dog and we're doing that. So we can still do the good work.
The mission is still being accomplished.
Well, and Carrie, during COVID-19, there's a lot of veterans who have post-traumatic stress that are not doing well. So a lot of organizations that helped them as they got together and did activities, they're shut down. So all the more reason during this time, I felt like we needed to devote more. So there again, my mission so it's interesting, Carrie, my granddaughter, Josie, she lives close to me. I have 17 grandchildren, but Josie and Jason and Jake live right beside me. So I see, and they're the youngest. I have some great grandchildren. They're younger than me. But Josie
that is just awesome.
And Josie, she asked me the other day, she said, Nana, what was your dream job when you were a little girl? What was your dream job? And I said, I always wanted to be a teacher and a speaker. And she said, and you did become that? And I said, yes, I did. And I've been blessed to have that opportunity. So I asked her, what's your dream job? You know what she said, Carrie? I want to work for Fairway Mortgage.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. Well, you are definitely a big part of that heart of Fairway. And there's no question in my mind that you are living out your definition of excellence in putting your whole heart into what it is that you do. And you've certainly voiced that throughout our time together today. Louise, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you feel like those listening need to hear from you?
I guess I can just say that whoever's listening to this, I just want to say you can do it. You are a warrior, and whatever it is you're called to do, you can do it. And it doesn't take a lifetime. Just start. 52 days, and I use 100 pounds. If you need to lose 100 pounds, you probably won't lose in 52 days. But you know what? You'll develop new habits. You'll develop new rituals. You're on the journey. So start the journey to 52 days, to the second 52 days, to the third 52 days. By the way, there are 7 52-day periods in the year. And think of what you could accomplish if you just took one area of your life and did it.
That is fantastic. Louise, how can those listening help you in moving forward with your mission?
Well, email us at awi@fairwaymc.com or go to AmericanWarriorInitiative.com and check out our mission and what we're doing. Go to a YouTube channel and look at American Warrior Initiative. And then, you know what? Consider donating. That is, that's one of the things we would love to have people just to take part. People want to give. People want to be a part of something bigger. And just go there. And I'd love to give away a bunch of service dogs this year.
Well, I love that and absolutely will make sure that everybody gets those links to AWI when we launch the podcast. And thank you so, so much for being with us today.